Okay, so let's just jump right in. If you've ever used an AI coding assistant, you know they can feel like a total double-edged sword. I mean, they churn out code at lightning speed, which is amazing, but that's speed. Well, it often comes at a cost. Today, we're going to explore how you can transform that chaotic code generator into a disciplined, reliable engineering partner.
You know, I saw this quote from a developer on Reddit, and it perfectly captures the feeling, doesn't it? One minute, the AI is brilliant and super helpful, and the next, it seems to have forgotten everything you just talked about. It completely loses the plot. It's a frustration we've all felt, but it turns out it's actually a solvable problem.
So yeah, let's really break down this whole junior developer problem, because it's not just about forgetting things. It goes deeper. It's a fundamental issue with how these AI agents are trained to work, and it leads to some very specific and frankly maddening issues for us developers. I mean, we've all been there, right? You ask it to build a feature, and it starts out great, but then it just goes off on some weird tangent. It totally ignores the carefully crafted patterns you have in your code base and starts creating this inconsistent spaghetti code. You end up having to constantly remind it of the rules, and it almost never ever thinks to write tests or, create a plan first.
And this really gets to the heart of it. These AI agents, they're trained on these gigantic repositories of code, but not on the rigorous process that good engineers use to create that code. They're optimized to just generate the next word, the next line, as fast as humanly possible. What they lack is that fundamental discipline of a senior engineer. The planning, the testing, the systematic thinking.
But what if you could inject that discipline? Well, one developer, after rewriting over 300,000 lines of code with an AI, decided to fight back against the chaos. They built their own system of personal guardrails to tame the beast. Let's take a look at how they pulled it off.
Okay, so the first piece of this puzzle was a feature they called skills. The idea is actually pretty simple. You create these documents that store your project's best practices, your coding patterns, and all your guidelines. It's kind of like a portable rulebook that the AI can reference to stay consistent.
But, of course, there was a problem. The AI would often just ignore the skills. So, what was the solution? Hooks. Now, these are little scripts that can run automatically, either right before the AI sees your prompt or just after it responds. This is the secret sauce. This is the enforcement mechanism that actually makes the AI pay attention.
And this is the real aha moment. By combining the skills and the hooks, you can build this incredible auto-activation system. So before the AI even reads your request, a hook analyzes it, figures out which skill is relevant, and then injects a reminder. Then, after it responds, another hook pops up and prompts it to self-check its own work. It creates this brilliant, self-correcting loop that forces discipline where there was absolutely none before.
And to fight that extreme amnesia problem we talked about, the developer created something called the DevDoc system. For any big task, the AI first has to generate a detailed plan, a context file with all the relevant info, and a task checklist. These documents act as a kind of external memory, keeping the AI focused and on track even across really long sessions.
Now, what started out as just a personal set of hacks has actually evolved into something much, much bigger. This entire philosophy of injecting discipline has been formalized into an open-source framework called Superpowers, which any developer can now use.
At its core, Superpowers is basically a library of these pre-built skills and workflows. Its entire purpose is to force the AI to stop acting like that chaotic junior dev and start operating like a seasoned senior engineer. It's not about suggesting best practices, it's about enforcing them.
And the philosophy behind it is what makes it so dang powerful. Superpowers mandates things that, let's be honest, are often just suggestions in human teams. Test-driven development? Not optional. A detailed plan has to be approved before a single line of code is written. And get this, they even use subagents to review each other's work.
This tiered approach here is just a brilliant way to understand how skills fit into the whole AI ecosystem. Think of it like this. Your custom instructions set the AI's general personality. Projects are your reference library, static info that's always on. But skills? They're your on-demand specialists, loaded only when a specific, complex workflow is needed. It's a really layered, efficient way to handle context.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, it completely transforms the development process. It goes from a chaotic, back-and-forth conversation into a structured, predictable engineering cycle. Let's walk through what that new workflow actually feels like.
So the cycle starts with a mandatory brainstorming phase.
No code gets written until you have an approved design and a detailed implementation plan. Then and only then does the AI start coding, and it strictly follows test-driven development. A totally separate AI agent even performs a code review before the work is considered done. It's incredibly thorough.
And this isn't just some static system, it's constantly evolving. The framework is already integrating with task management tools. That means the AI can start creating structured tasks with dependencies and acceptance criteria, just like a human project manager would. This just makes the entire process even more robust and accountable.
So, this all leads us to the most powerful idea of all. Once you've mastered using these pre-built skills, the final step is to start teaching the AI new ones yourself. You basically move from being a user of the system to a creator who actually shapes it.
The ultimate superpower isn't just using the skills, it's creating brand new ones. And how do you make sure the skills you write are actually effective? Well, you apply the very same discipline the framework preaches to everything else, test-driven development.
Here's how that works. It's pretty wild. Your test case is a pressure scenario you give to an AI agent. First, you run it without your new skill, and you watch the agent fail. That's your red test. Then, you write the skill document itself. You run the test again, and if the agent now does what it's supposed to, your test is green. Then you just refactor the skill to close any loopholes. You are literally test driving your documentation. Ultimately, this represents a massive shift. We're moving from just prompting an AI to actively engineering its behavior. And if you can methodically teach an AI agent the discipline of a senior developer, well, that completely reframes our role. It leaves us with a really fascinating question. Is the next great programmer actually a great teacher